Pressure's mounting on other states to reopen as the vaccine rollout gathers steam. It's a major issue here in New York City as it chooses a new mayor. The city is facing a dire financial situation. The outstanding debt grew to $125 billion last year because of the pandemic, and it lost more than 500,000 private sector jobs and an estimated $34 billion in personal income. Shaun Donovan is a former White House budget chief. He's running to become the next New York City mayor. Shaun, it is good to have you. I appreciate your time. Before we talk budgets, I obviously do need to talk about what the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, said today. He said he's not resigning, did a long apology, very sorry, but he's not resigning. So do you think he should resign?
First of all, Richard, thank you for having me. And we have to focus on the fact that this is deeply, deeply troubling contact he's been accused of. And it's something that we absolutely need a full investigation of starting right now. And we should see if, in fact, that investigation shows that these allegations are true, he should resign.
So you're in the camp that's waiting for the Attorney General to provide a report that gives direction.
I do believe that we need to see if these allegations are proven.
Let's turn to the state, to the city. People are fleeing New York. I mean, the numbers of people who've left is down. I'm sure some will come back, but the numbers of restaurants that have closed, businesses out of business, you can't load any more on the tax burden of those who are here. You've got a mess on your hands if you get elected.
Well, Richard, I know something about dealing with messes. I was asked by President Obama to be housing secretary in the midst of our worst housing crisis of our lifetimes. When Sandy hit New York, he asked me to lead the entire federal recovery effort. And then 3 weeks into my time as budget director over the $4 trillion federal budget, Ebola hit. And I was working side by side with Dr. Fauci and President Biden, President Obama, to solve those crises. And so I know something about the moment of crisis that we're facing in New York. And I believe with the right leadership, we can not only recover, but actually grow this city again and make it the leading city in the world from an economic point of view.
But how are you going to do it? Business, I mean, you know, I live in the city. I'm a taxpayer here. The taxes are already, if I add the state and city on top of the federal, it's a lot of money. And I look down where I live in downtown and businesses are closing. How are you going to do it?
Well, Richard, I agree we're not going to tax our way to recovery. First, what we have to do, and this goes to exactly what you were pointing to before, I agree with President Biden. We have to get the virus under control. We still have very high rates of spread here in New York City. We need a much more coordinated, effective vaccination effort in the city. We've been falling down on that. And we need to make sure not just that we're the safest city in the world by using leading technology, by aggressively vaccinating, but also we have to let the world know as we're recovering that we are the safest city in the world. And so that would bring New Yorkers back, but it would also bring tourists back to the city. As you know, tourism is one of the most important industries that will drive our restaurants, our theaters, all of our recovery to bring us back. So all of those are critical pieces of what we have to do right now.
Shaun, I always remember Ed Koch, of course, the famous mayor in New York. He was larger than life, always had a quote, always for this. And you think of Mike Bloomberg. New York requires a loud, large, metaphorically speaking, leader, where you've got X million extremely loquacious, very articulate, highly opinionated, often bigoted views. Are you that person who's got the character big enough to lead it?
Absolutely. And look, if I have been trusted by Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and New Yorkers to lead in crisis after crisis, there is no one not only better prepared, but who better understands what it means to lead through these moments of crises than I do. I grew up in the city. My father's an immigrant who came from Costa Rica and Lima, Peru, built a business in the midst of the worst crisis of my lifetime. And I was part of rebuilding the very same neighborhoods I'd seen burning as a kid in the South Bronx across New York. We rebuilt from that. With the right leadership, we absolutely can not just rebuild, but reimagine New York as a city that actually works for everyone.
And when we can get together and talk face-to-face over a pastrami sandwich, that we shall do, Shaun. I'm grateful to you.
Somebody told you about my love of pastrami, eh?
Well, it's well known. It's well known. I'll pay the bill, don't worry. For both of us and friends. Thank you. Just don't tax me on it. Thank you, Shaun Donovan.